So we're going to continue now. We had the introduction about the Shechina, and then he started speaking about the mitzvahs and how the mitzvahs are done l'shem yichud kitche b'richi shchinte. So every mitzvah we do it according to how we think and we feel, right? So the action contains within it, it's a kli that holds within it the emotional drive, the intellectual drive, the beliefs that are involved in the action, and the desire to do the action. And all these things together go into the kli, which is the action itself, and they create a yichud between kitche b'richi, which is the ultimate consciousness that we're trying to achieve, and shchinte, which is the consciousness we're in now, that we're trying to raise and increase and become more aware in order to bring light to the Shechina Kaviyachol, to bring light into this world, which means discovering the true nature of life, discovering the wisdom within this experience and how we're supposed to go about experiencing it. So now he's going to continue. When we say in L'Shem Yichud, we say B'dchilu Rechimu. It says V'inyan B'dchilu Rechimu, Rechimu D'chilu, Ikmo shenemer Kabed Avicha V'yemecha V'nemer Ishivim V'ovev Tiro V'digdik Chazal V'gedushin Yedua. That it says Kabed, when it says to be Mechabed, it says the father first. And it says, by Yira, it says the mother first. So it gives you with the more difficult one each time. So he's saying that when a person learns or does a mitzvah, and there's no emotion involved, it doesn't go up. Why doesn't it go up? So if you remember, we spoke about the emotions being in the world of Yetzira. So the mitzvah, the action is always in the world of Asiyah. The action is a practical matter. The action is a practical manifestation. You're doing a certain deed, or you're saying certain words, or you're learning certain Torah. Now, if there's no dechil or chimur, if there's no emotion involved, so then the world of Yetzira is not active. And we need the world of Yetzira in order to connect Asiyah to Bria. So if we don't have emotion, we don't have a hava or yira that's driving the action, the loy parches la'ele, it doesn't go up into the mind, into the world of perception, and it doesn't have an effect, because it's just a dry action. Perish hapriche, he should kubel berotzen lefonav yizborach, der HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be mekabel berotzen, at sheyoy letekev bekir b'shefa asuga mechudeshes, that in that moment, while he's doing the mitzvah, he should have a realization. He should have a deeper realization of Anoich Hashem Elokecha. That means that something is mekubel berotzen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if a person davens, if his emotions are involved, if his motivation is appropriate, so successful davening would mean that after davening, you realize more deeply that somebody created this world and he's still intimately involved with it. Mashen came before the davening, you weren't so aware of that. And this is why Chazal tell us, Lesoichlu al adam, lesoichlu lifnei shesispallu al damchem. Meaning, don't eat food before you daven. Why? Because your blood is still filled with all kinds of negative energies, because in our like we spoke about, in our sleep, our mind defragments all the information that we received during the day, and it makes order. And because a lot of the information we receive during the day is not necessarily positive, so now in our minds there's a lot of stuff going on from yesterday's day that's not necessarily clean. And when we eat, whatever spirit is within us at the time we eat, he's the one getting the energy. He's the one that's going to get the pleasure, and he's going to build and he's going to gain strength inside the person. So therefore, before we eat, we want to make sure that we daven. So when we eat, we have a more a deeper realization, a deeper awareness of the divine. So then when we feed the divine. Like Chazal tell us that somebody who feeds a Talmid Chacham is makriv carbon. And somebody who gives him to drink wine is like he's menasech nesochem. Because when a person eats, it's like he's makriv carbon to the spirit that's active inside of him at the time. And that's why it's a big Indian to speak divrei Torah. B'shas we eat, in the middle of the meal we should speak divrei Torah, because if not, because I'll bring the pasuk kol shulchanam mala ki tzoya, it's a moshav leitzim, because the food is feeding an entity that you don't necessarily want to feed, and then it's just going through your body and it's not really accomplishing what a food is supposed to accomplish. And the food suffers, and the person suffers. Because this shidduch, this combination of the spirit that became bigger and stronger, and the person that's now going to have that spirit inside of them, all that was attained through the food. And the food has a chelik elekai as well. The food wants to be elevated. And when a person can't do that elevation because of his mindset, because of the way he's set up, so the food stays below, the food doesn't go up. And the same thing is with mitzvahs and everything else, that the mindset, the emotions are of extreme importance while a person is doing a spiritual act. So he says this hasaga that we're trying to see from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, zeu rak al yidei yis'achdus the Abba ve'ima canal. The Abba ve'ima means the isyardis of the Chochmah and the Bina. So a person has to bring in from the Chochmah, which is infinite, which to our perception is infinite, which encompasses all of life, into Bina, into his understanding. And by achieving that understanding, he comes closer to the truth, he comes closer to a realization. והנה דוב הזה אין על ידי מעשה גלמס בלוי לב, כמובן, רק על ידי הרגושס החיים שבלב שמרגיש עם מזבוינן בחיים השוכנים בקרבו. So a person needs to actually feel and to be mizboinen, to realize that there is a life force inside of him that is beyond him, that is a divine force. And he wants to feed that force, he wants to feed that life inside of him and make it bigger, make it more pronounced. And through the proper kavanah and through the proper emotions, he opens up his heart, he becomes aware, he becomes available, he becomes present. And then when he does the act, he accomplishes, he creates a malach that is of deep value to him. So in general, we know that the two gadfin of Ahava and Yira, one comes from the right and one comes from the left. Ahava is always to the right and Yira is always to the left, and we've discussed this a little bit before. But when a person becomes emotional like that, when somebody goes into an emotional state, what ends up happening is that more portions of his chayas show up inside his body. So for example, if a person is feeling a strong love, he's more alive. Why is he more alive? Because certain areas in his being that usually wouldn't be available to him now make themselves available to him because there's increased emotion. The same thing, fear. When a person is afraid for his life, all the different aspects of his personality that might have been quiet until a moment ago, suddenly they're all here. They're all trying to protect that being so that they can have continued existence, so they can continue to manifest. And therefore we see a person is afraid or a person is under extreme emotion, so he's not his usual self. What he is something more than his usual self. He's more present, he's more available. And whatever he's going to do or say or hear or think while he's in that state is going to make a deeper impression on his soul than anything that happens in other times. Because the soul is now available, the soul has opened itself up. Now, whatever is going to be said is going to go in a very deep place in the soul. And this is how traumas happen, unfortunately, to many people, that they have an event that scares them or an event that creates fear, and that opens up their soul to a very deep place. Their nefesh becomes extremely available, and then something negative gets imprinted, and that malach is so deep, he's so big, that everything that happens afterwards in that life seems small compared to that huge malach that was created in the time of fear, or in the time of extreme duress, or in the time of anywhere where the soul was open and available to receive. And that's why we have to be very careful when a person is more emotional, that our behavior needs to be even more sensitive towards that person, because they're actually in a deeper place. They're riding in a place that is the equivalent of the Olam HaYetzira, which is deeper than the practical dasiya. You do this, you do that, you say this, you say that. All that is not as significant as what happens when a person is emotional. But when it goes on the other side, when it goes on the side of love, it can, when a person really feels love, whether it's towards another human being or even better towards the source of life, that can transform an entire life. Because now he's riding in a place, he opened up a part of his nefesh that until now might have been completely shut. Sometimes people see a person, they say, wow, he looks like he was born again. He's like a young guy, he's fresh, he's different. And that's because a part of him that wasn't available till now became available because of the events that happened. Because the life force inside is looking for a peaceful resting place. That's ultimately what it needs. It needs shalom. There's no kli machzik bracha leYisrael other than shalom. So when a person doesn't have shalom, slowly the life force starts leaving. The life force doesn't really want to be there. And it only allows enough life in the person so that he can take care of his tasks and he can maneuver, but it's not really fully there. It's not really, he doesn't have the creativity, he doesn't have the juice, he doesn't have the energy. And only if he manages to create more peace, to feel more love, to feel more alive, then the life force inside of him wants to come there. It wants to live, it wants to open up. And this happens on the individual level, and this also happens on the collective level. And this is why David HaMelech was so obsessed with Ad Emtza Mokem Lashem Ishkonos Lav Yaakov, that he wanted to build the Beis HaMikdash, because he wanted to have a Mokem for Asheras HaShechina, which means that there should be Shalom, that there should be a place that the collective consciousness wants to reside within Klal Yisrael, that it should be obvious that Klal Yisrael is on the right path, and therefore they can get more shefa, they can get more life from the Mikor HaChaim. So he says, when a person wants to do a mitzvah, so he needs to feel the life force inside his heart, and he needs to be mizboinen in the chaim that's living inside of him. Like we know the Chasidim Rishonim, so that their leiv is completely there, is completely open, is completely ready, in order for them to imprint the words of the davening in a very deep place in their nefesh. And because they were able to imprint their davening in such a deep place in their nefesh, so we know that they didn't have to work much. Because it says, they waited an hour, shoin sha'achaz, then they davened an hour, then they were showing another hour in order to absorb everything that just happened. So if you do that 3 times a day, you got 9 hours out of the day taken. So they ask, if they do that, when did they work and when did they do other things? So it says, Mitoich shechasidim hoyu, that there was a bracha in their ma'ases. They didn't have to do much. Whatever they did, there was a bracha in it. Why was there a bracha in it? Because these malachim that they created in those 9 hours were very capable malachim. So whatever they wanted to do, they were able to do. Every day when we daven, we need to realize this, that words are the diet of the spirits. Spirits eat words. When we speak, when we think, we're feeding spirits constantly. And that's the purpose of davening. That's why the Anshe Knesset Agdola set up for us the Shemona Esrei and the whole davening, the whole order of how it works, is in order for us to feed the spirits that need to be fed on a daily basis. So as we say the words, we're feeding different areas of our brain, we're stimulating different areas of our brain if we're mechaven. And we're causing these energies and these forces inside of us to contain a balance. And that's why at the end of our Shemona Esrei we say Sim Shalom Tov V'Vrocha, and we say Amvarech Hasam Yisrael B'Shalom. Shalom happens when there's balance. Shalom happens when every part of you gets its necessary nourishment, and then you feel fulfilled. You're ready for action. You have the energy you need to do what you need to do. So as we daven, if we say HaCohen, so we're stimulating that area of our nefesh. We're telling our nefesh that this is important to us. That it should prioritize these things. Ashiveinu Avinu, Slach Lonu, Refueinu, right? The Refueinu, we're feeding our Malach Refuel, like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Our Malach Refuel is in there, and he heals us constantly. But we want to create that connection with him. We want to say words that give him power, that bring power from the infinite source into our ability to heal ourselves. So by being mechaven, by realizing, by recognizing that this is how it works, and that within the consciousness that we have, within the life force that we have, all these different malachim, all these different forces can come and reside within us and do what they need to do, we give them more light. We open up the channels. We allow them to shine through to us, and we become aware, we become conscious. So our conscious mind is helping along the process and not hindering the process. So this is every time we do an action that HaKadosh Baruch Hu requested of us, and like we know by Chasidim, it was also important to do, everything you do should be L'Shem Shamayim, like the Maggid used to call it, Chilin Shanasi Al Taharas HaKodesh, that even Yechula needs to be done Al Taharas HaKodesh, needs to be done with the proper kavanas, because it's all avodas Hashem. Reb Tzodok says in a place that when you do your natural needs, you're serving Hashem. If you eat, you're serving Hashem. If you sleep, you're serving Hashem. Why? Because He wanted you to do it. That's how He set you up. You weren't born and then you said, okay, do I want to eat or don't I want to eat? It wasn't up to you. It was his choice. Everything that's his choice is a mitzvah. So therefore, whatever we do in order to maintain our ability to function, in order for us to become solid people, better people that other people can rely on and get help from, that is avodas Hashem in and of itself. And it needs the tchilu, it needs the rechimu, it needs the inspiration, it needs the emotional support, it needs the emotional drive, so that it makes a deep impact on us, so that it affects us. So it says when a person does that, he's mizboinen in the source of life that fills all the worlds and surrounds all the worlds. So when a person is mizboinen, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is shoichen within him mamish, this causes yira, this causes a fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the fear we're talking about here is not a fear of punishment. Adarabah, the fear of punishment is stronger when you think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is outside of you. Like the pasuk says, Al ki'ene leka bekirbi, mitzoni yiros rabes v'rois ha'ele. But the fear of yiras haroimim is to realize what a tremendous experience you're having. How surreal it is that you, with your body, with the way that he set you up, you have the ability to experience his wisdom, to experience his reality, to experience his truth. That causes a person to have a tremendous respect. The yiras haroimim is a kavod to whoever made this be, to whoever put this thing into motion. When you realize his wisdom, when you realize how close and imminent he really is, it causes a person to feel how real it is. And when he feels it's real, he gives it the proper respect. Mashenka yiras haroimim, the Zohar calls it Ritzia bishel al kol echayavaya, which means a bad belt to hurt the wicked. Meaning the fear itself, not the punishment that's going to come after the fear. The fear itself is the punishment for a wicked person. So the goal of Moshe Rabbeinu was, when he wrote the Torah, the way that he wrote it, that if a wicked person reads it, he should become afraid. That's his punishment. And that fear is not going to let him live a full life. And when a Rasha doesn't live a full life, it makes life better for the rest of us. So the fear is there in order to stop people from being wicked. But a person who has already realized that his goal in life is to do what Hashem wants, to do the right thing, to do what's good, Adarabah, yiras haroinish is not good for him, it's not healthy for him. Because yiras haroinish will remove from him the full experience of life. And the tzaddikim, we want them to have a full experience of life. We want them to live more and stronger and more powerful. Why? Because then everybody has anah. Like Chazal say about sleep. The shin of Rishoim is good for them and good for the world. Right? Sleep, the more you sleep, the better. But the shin for tzaddikim is not good for them and not good for the world. And shina doesn't just mean actual sleep, physical sleep. Shina also means spiritual sleep. What is spiritual sleep? What we all do all the time. We're just not aware. That's spiritual sleep. You go through your day, you worked, you came home, you ate dinner, you went to sleep. That day is just a day you slept right through. You slept for 24 hours straight. If you didn't wake up and realize that somebody made this and there's a purpose for it, and yes, I don't know what the purpose is, but I realize that my job is to look for that purpose, then that's called sleep. That means a person who is not conscious, is not aware, and it's a dangerous situation to be in. That's why it's not good for tzaddikim. Tzaddikim shouldn't be sleeping. They should always, as soon as they wake up physically, they have to find some kind of a procedure in order to wake themselves up spiritually as well. And this is why people do all kinds of different avodas in the morning, whether they go to the mikveh, or they learn, or they daven, or everything that they do is in order to wake up the spirit before the day starts, so that the day is not slept through spiritually. So that brings the yira. When you realize Ani Hashem Asher Chanitam, that brings yira. So he says, it's not possible for a person to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in his heart, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving him life, the one who created all the stars and all the galaxies. He's the one that's feeding him life at this very moment. And he shouldn't have any yiras aromimus. He shouldn't become more serious. He shouldn't have more respect for what's happening over here. It's not possible. The only reason a person would not respect what's happening, the only reason a person could feel kalas rosh, as if whatever he does doesn't matter, who cares, is because that hargosha in his heart is gone. It's been erased. And when you don't have hargosha in your heart, then you don't have any drive. You don't have anything that's driving you towards the truth. ועל-ידי הזבנוס בקדושת השם יזברך הנבדל מהסוג השכלנו, מוילי תשוקה וכסף עוצם להגיע עוד יום, להשיג עוד הנעלם, כן יניחספו וגם כל נפשי. והוא תויקה ואהבה. So he says, once you realize that the year comes first. The year comes when you realize that there is something that's driving you, that is beyond you, that is stronger than you, that is more powerful than you, that you don't understand. And you need to take it seriously, because this is all you are, this is all you have. So that brings yira, that brings seriousness. But when you realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that koyach that's inside of you, his wisdom is beyond you, he is so great, and yet he's here to cater. He's here to help you. This is why he created the world, because he wants to be mative to you. That creates the ahava. So therefore it says you can't have ahava if you don't have yira first. Because if you don't realize how close and imminent he is, then the love is not going to be real. The love is going to be imagined. First it has to be real to you. And once it's real, once you get that yira, once you get that realization, then when you chap how deeply he's involved in your success, how deeply he cares about your success, that causes a tremendous ahava. You feel that relationship, it becomes alive. Sure?
We say Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem, like
right.
You say, but yet we said Abba Be'ima,
Chachma and Bina.
Then we say the Chilu Rechimu.
Right.
We're saying it afuch.
Chachma and Bina are beyond the Chilu Rechimu. So we're starting from the bottom. We're starting from the Malchus, from the level of action. We want to go up and wake up Abba and Ima, right? We want to wake up the Chochmah and the Bina that's inside of us. So it says, how are you going to accomplish that? The only way to accomplish it is by getting wings. What are the wings? Those are the emotions.
But the emotions that they're talking about is first the Chilu and then the Rechimu.
Right.
We were saying Reishis Chachma, which should be the other way around.
Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem, meaning if you want to start, the beginning of Chachma is Yira first. That's the Chilu. The Yira is always first. If you have yira, then you can come to ahava. But if your yira is not worked out, the person says, I have ahava. I don't know about yira. I love, everything is love, everything is wonderful, everything is smooth. So we know something is missing. Why? Because things are not smooth. Who are you fooling? So he's just living, he's on a cloud. He's on a cloud of love, and he doesn't want to see anything else. But one day he'll wake up. So first you have to realize what's really going on. We have to sync with reality before anything. And that synchronization happens through yira. And what's yira? It's not the yira that we're used to. It's not the fear that locks us down. It's awe. It's fear that motivates us. It's realization. There's an even deeper concept of yira that's brought in the Sefer HaBohir from Mechini ben HaKuna. Mechini ben HaKuna says, what is yiras Hashem? So he says that the ultimate yiras Hashem that Mashiach is going to have is that you have so much respect for everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu created that everything you see, you're dan lekaf zchus. You don't have the chutzpah to look at Hashem's world and be done anything lekaf choiv. Because He created it. How could you say it's bad if He created it? So in everything, you have to find whatever pshetel it takes to realize that it's good. And even though your pshetel might be wrong, your conclusion is right. Because it is good. So instead of being with a good pshetel and a bad conclusion, rather be with a bad pshetel and a good conclusion. But because what he does is good. What he does is good. You don't understand the good. So now you come with the chokhmah and you say, if this is like this and that is like that, then how can this be good? We don't know this is like this, we don't know that it's like that, but we do know that this is good. How do we know? Because he did it. Because this is what reality catered. This is how it came. This is how it happened. So in order to explain, we have to dig. But that digging is done with you already know the conclusion before you start digging. You already know the result. It's just a question of how are you going to make your mind, which is so feeble and so not steeped in true wisdom, realize that it's taka good. Because you don't want to be on the other side of that coin. You don't want to be in a situation where you think it's bad, because like we spoke about, that starts creating all the negative malachim. Then there's starts to be resistance between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, between you and life, and that's extremely dangerous.
With people also?
With people also. Now, behavior-wise, you don't have to assume that every behavior that a person does is good in the way that it came out. You can realize that there is evil in the world right now. People have bad beliefs, misunderstood beliefs, people have bad emotions, people have traumas. So whatever comes from there, you can just say, because he had this trauma, because he had this difficulty, this is why he's acting out against me. That's fine. But you realize that it's a protective mechanism that nature created within him in order to protect him. It's not personal. It has nothing to do with you.
If that action, if the action that the person is doing is in this world,
right,
then Hashem wanted it to be the other. Right?
True, but I'm saying Hashem gave us room to say that there's evil in the world right now, and our job is to exterminate evil. So you can blame evil. You don't have to say the Holocaust is good. It was good, obviously, right? It came here to teach us something. It has a purpose. But the people who were involved were evil people because of whatever happened to them and whatever came through and the beliefs that they had and the understandings that they had, which were obviously wrong. But at the end of the day, what happened needed to happen. That's what we believe. And they were just shlichim, right? There's a first pasuk. The pasuk says, Hoy asher shevet api. Asher is the shevet of my anger, is the stick in my anger. Meaning, don't blame Asher. Don't blame whoever it is. Don't blame the Iranians, right, for whatever they're doing. Realize that your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, they create this reality. And this is something that the people are not aware of. Many times, we daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He should change our reality. He should change our lives. He should change how we interact with other people. He should change how we interact with ourselves. And that's all good. We should daven for those things. But we need to realize that change will happen through a change in your personality. If there's no change in your personality, nothing's going to change. Because this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to change it. He's going to change your heart. Like David HaMelech says, Leif Tor Broli Alekim, V'ruach Nochen Chadesh B'kirbi. Give me a new heart. Because everything that's happening to us right now, all the troubles that we have, we can't just blame God for it, even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up this entire system, and obviously it's Midah Keneged Midah, and it works the way that it works. But whatever we have is a result of our beliefs. It's a result of our feelings. It's a result of how we live. Even what the Goyim do to us is a result of our beliefs. It's a result of our behavior. So if the Goyim misbehave, right, if there's a Chorban Abayis, it's not because of the Goyim, it's because of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is not believing right. Klal Yisrael is not feeling right. Klal Yisrael is not acting right. And now the Goyim are going to come and do what they naturally need to do. Because this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up life. HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up all the different protections that we need. All the different teachers that we need. All the different guidance that we need within nature. Within the wisdom of nature. So to a certain degree, that's what the Goyim are there for. The Goyim are there for to put us in our place. It shouldn't come through a Yid, Chaz v'shalom. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends a Yid to punish another Yid, so the Yid who's doing the punishing should know that he's in big trouble. Even though that person was meant to get punished, but why are you being used? It's a Goy's job. It's not your job. So, and this Klal Yisrael is very aware of this in theory, and Chazal talk about it all the time. That everything that's coming through a person, everything that's coming through your life force, you're a sinner for that, which means that you have an identification, because you're nothing but a sinner. From the moment you were born, you were a sinner. And everything that comes through you is affecting other people, but even more importantly, it's affecting you. It's defining you. It's telling you who you are, like we spoke about before. That everything in the world is a mirror. And when we say it's a mirror, it doesn't just mean that it's telling you about yourself because it happens to be so. It means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu specifically created that thing so that it will tell you about yourself. So for example, we need to understand our inner spirit. We need to understand how we function. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the 4 elements so that we can know that the thing inside of us has 4 elements. That's the purpose. That's the reason we have the 4 elements. So we have 4 elements in our body that physically creates us. We have 4 elements in our nefesh, which the Rishonim speak about many times. They have a different system back then that was more an holistic health system that works with the 4 leches. And the 4 leches, the Mora Yeruka, the Mora Aduma, the Mora Shchoira, the Mora Levana, these are all creating the balance within the person, right? If a person has too much of the Mora Shchoira, we all know what that looks like. If a person has too much Mora Aduma, more angry. So all these things that are happening inside of us, if we wouldn't have the 4 elements outside of us, how would we be able to relate? How would we be able to understand the wisdom that's inside of us? And then that goes even deeper with the midas, the emotions that are based on these 4 elements. And then the malachim that are based on the 4 elements. We know about the 4 machnes of Shechina. When Klal Yisrael saw the Shechina on Har Sinai, so they were jealous of how beautifully the malachim were all set up within inside their being, and they wanted to be that way. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, fine, we'll do it, because the 12 shvatim are against the 12 malachim that are carrying the kisei, which are divided into 4 groups of 3, and that's exactly how we set up the machnes in the middle with the degolim, Ishal Machnei of Ishal Digloi, where you had the Machne Yehuda in the front, which goes to the Mizrach side, which compares to the Malach Ariel, right, Milfonai Ariel, and you had on the right side the Machna of Ruvain, which is the Mid of Chesed, which is the Malach Mikael, right, the realization that nobody is like Hashem. That's Ma'orer Chesed in a person, when a person realizes the greatness of Hashem. And then on the left side we had the Degel of Machne Don. Machne Don represents Gevuris, represents the Malach Gavriel, and that's because Don was from the Bnei HaShvochos, and it's the only Shevet that actually had an Etiyat Avodah Zorah in all of Klal Yisrael. They say that the Egel was done by the Erev Rav, it wasn't done by Klal Yisrael, but Pesel Micha was done by Shevet Don. And that's because Don is the Midas Adin, and the Midas Adin has an Etiyah that a person feels that he's not doing enough, that he always needs to do more. And that's the concept of Avodah Zorah. Avodah Zorah means that a person does work, he labors in a place that he doesn't need to labor. And he's overworking himself for no reason. He's not finding peace, he's not finding shalom. And that comes from a drive from the Midas Adin. Like he feels he needs to be yotzei for somebody, he's not doing enough for somebody, he's not working hard enough for somebody. And all that is usually imagined. He's just running and running. He doesn't really find the truth in what he's doing. So Shevet Dan has that netiya, and that's why from the Malach Gavriel come out all kinds of different possibilities. The Samach Mem is also yonik from that side, from the side of Gevuris. That's why the Arizal says that any ashpah that comes from the Midas HaChesed doesn't need a birur. Right? Our job in this 6,000 years is to be mevarer birurim. So every thought comes into our mind, and it's sometimes a portion of it is good and a portion of it is not good. And our job, kulam b'chochma is berira, is to use our chochma and to figure out what is the truth, what is real, what is helping me, and which part do I need to erase. So the Shevet Dan and the tzad of din, the tzad of gevuris, that one needs tremendous berurim. So whenever something comes into your mind with the midas hagvura, something is wrong, so you have to be choshid from all sides, that the odds are nothing is wrong. But when something comes to you midas hachesed, saying something is right, you don't need any beer. If it's right, gewalt. Amen. So, and that's a big avodah, because in this 6,000 years, we are mevarer the midas adin. The midas adin gives rise to the Satan, gives rise to the ability of getting it wrong, right? Midas HaChesed doesn't give rise to that possibility. And this 6,000 years, this world was created with Midas Adin, right? Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create Midas Adin, Roi Sheinu Lemiskayim, Shitavim Midas HaRachamim. And the Midas HaRachamim is Klal Yisrael that received the Torah. The difference of how we're different than the other nations is that we know about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Rachamim and they don't. And therefore we can connect to the Shem Havaya, which is the Midas HaRachamim itself. So the more we are Megala, the Midas HaRachamim in this world, the more we are close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we're Madbik B'midoisav, and the more we bring in His presence into this world. We bring in the reality of the Midas HaRachamim into this world, which is still in the Midas, under the domain of Midas Hadin for another couple of 100 years. And then comes the Yom Shekiloi Shabbos, where things change around a little bit. So that's the Machne Dam, that's to the left. And behind us is the Malach Refoil, which is represented by the Shevet Ephraim, the Degel Machne Ephraim, Litzivoisam. Ephraim is the Loshen of Pirya Verivya, Ki Ephran Elikim Be'eretz Onyi. And he represents that koyach of healing, the koyach of healing within man, the koyach of rebirth, the koyach of renewal. And that's why he's behind us, because a person always leaves damage in his wake just by our nature that we have the Satan inside of us. So whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're focusing our energy, we're causing a little bit of turbulence, we're causing a little bit of damage. And we'll notice this in people's lives. Everybody's obsessed with something else in their life where they want to feel control, right? For some person it's the money. He's busy with his money morning, noon, and night. It's the only thing he cares about, and everything else just happens. So the things that just happen will usually be fine. But because he's so busy with the money, there's always issues with the money. He's always busy. He's got to go, he's got to come, he's got to run. Because that's his area. That's where he's busy with. Another person's focusing on something else. He wants to feel control with his kids, with the chinuch. He's on them like white on rice. He doesn't stop. You come, you go, you're here, you're there. And you're never doing enough. So where's he going to have all his problems? Right there. Why? Because that's where he got involved. Nature does what it does beautifully. When you get involved, be careful. Because wherever we focus our attention, instead of causing relief, we're not such easy, calm people. We don't cause relief so fast. Usually we cause complication, we cause drama. What's going on? This is no good, that's no good. And that's because we're focusing there. For another person, that's not his challenge. He doesn't even notice it. It just happens. Everything is fine. And the same thing, the other places where people focus their energy, focus their not eating well enough, I'm not doing this well enough, my health is not, my this is not, my that is not. And that's exactly where that's where he's creating his shadim. That's where he's creating all his negative malachim. They're going to start playing ping pong with his mind. So we have to realize that the best thing for us to be busy with is bringing in more chesed into the world, bringing in more kedusha, bringing in more connection, bringing in more truth, more reality, because that is the healing force of everything. Reb Tzodok says that the Shechina is called the Shar LaShamayim. It's the Shar, meaning nobody can go into Shamayim if he doesn't pass the Shechina. The Shechina is called Zois, and when it's a Loshen Nekeva, sometimes it's also called Zeh. When it's Dovik in the Zohar, then it's called Zeh. When it's alone, it's called Zois. And it says, for example, in Hallel, Pischi li share tzedek, ovoivam oideka. So tzedek, like we said, is the Shechina, the doors of righteousness, the doors of justice. Ze ashar lashem tzadikim yevoivoy. This is the way in. So it says by Haran, bezois yovei Haran el hakodesh, right? He has to have zois. David HaMelech says, bezois ani boteach bezois. So that's the Shechina. What does it mean? Says Reb Tzodok. What is this Shar? How do you go into the Shar? So it says the Shar is the realization that you are not who you think you are. You are a divine force. That's the Shar. As long as you haven't realized that, you're not going nowhere. You're staying stuck in the reality that you're in. You're not going to be able to rise. Once you realize that, once you go through that Shar, many wonderful things can happen to you. Because you've opened yourself up to divine energy. You've opened yourself up to a truth that is beyond your limited comprehension. That connects you to something that most people only meet after they die. So that when we're conveyed that deeply in our hearts, that's the Shar. That's the Shar. You're not who you think you are. Your mind doesn't work the way you think it does. Your actions, your emotions, Everything you've experienced so far is not life, it's not reality, it's just programming. And most of it, horrible programming. And hopefully one day we can laugh about it, right? But that will only be when we will realize the truth so deeply that we can laugh at the rest of it. Otherwise, usually we're crying about it. So we have to get to that place where we can laugh. All the madregas, says Reb Tzodok, all the midas, the real chesed, the real gevurah, the gevuras kedoshas, which come only to protect humanity, not chas v'sholom to offend humanity, all that you can only gain access through the doorway. What is the doorway? The realization that there's a divine force that's trying to manifest inside of you. Open up to it, allow it to happen. Realize that everything you've thought is just words you were told. It's not what they mean. The real meaning is beyond us. The real meaning is so deep that the only way we can hold on to it is by holding on to reality itself. What is real? How does it work? And we have to analyze, and we have to be choshid. We have to be choshid every belief, especially the belief that we had, that we gained when we were very young. We have to be choshid all of them. Because most people, they have the most significant intellectual period of their time, of their lifetime, the most significant conclusions they make about reality, the most significant realizations that they have in life happens between the age of 3 and 5. Right? When they're in kindergarten, and then they go to Kita Aleph, and they go to Kita Beis, and the Melamed tells them, there's Hashem, this is what he wants, and this is how it works. So then they get these, oh wow, look at this. You look at a child, you see he's handling about it. How does it work? And what does it mean? Does it work like this? Does it work like that? Is he angry at me? Is he not angry at me? Can he see my thoughts? Can he not see my thoughts? And that's how a child comes to these realizations. The problem is that afterwards, as a 5-year-old, he's like, okay, whenever they talk about Hashem, I already know what Hashem is. They already told me. I'm good, all set. No need to listen. And then they just go through the next 95 years of their life based on conclusions of a 5-year-old. And I don't need to tell you how dangerous that is. So everything we know, as real and as true as it might seem to you, it only seems real and true because you've been thinking it for so long. Not because it really is real or because it really is true. And therefore we have to rethink the meanings. Now obviously, the Torah, Chazal, the Goinim, the Rishonim, they had a message for us. They were talking to us. They were trying to explain something to us. But it wasn't something that you can explain to a 5-year-old. So even though everything they said is true, not everything that your Rebbe told you as a child is true, in that sense, in the way that he told it to you. And as long as a person doesn't dig up those basic foundational beliefs, all the other beliefs that are built on those beliefs are not built on a real yesod, they're not true. And the assumptions that come from there are endless and limitless. So even though everybody around you thinks like that, and your father and your mother and your sister and your brother and your cousin, it doesn't make it real. Reality will not bow for no one. And the only way to figure out reality is to test it, to test the ideas, and to be able to separate between something that's called a muskel, right? And you'll see in Tanakh, in Chazal, when they talk about seichel, and we talk about maskilim, v'maskilim yaziri kezer rekia. A maskil means a person that can tell the difference between seichel and dimyon. Between seichel, between wisdom, between knowledge, between truth, and imagined facts, imagined realities. That's the koach of a maskil. And in order for a person to be able to differentiate, he has to dig very deeply within himself. He has to relearn everything that he thought he knows already. And only then can he start understanding the deeper truth that's hiding in plain sight. It's happening. It's happening right now. It's just that it's been happening to us for so long that we don't even notice it's happening anymore. We call it normal. We call it natural. We call it teva. We call it whatever we want to call it. But we're not looking at it. We're not realizing it. That there is a machine, there's a being that's breathing and thinking and talking, and that has no idea who it is or why it's here. It's an amazing zach. It's an amazing zach. It's unbelievable. When you look at another person that's walking with his whole confidence as if he knows where he's going and what he's doing, it should bring you to laugh. You should have a chuckle. We don't know why we're here. We don't. And every day we don't think about that, it means we're asleep. We're asleep. Nobody home. Knock, knock. Who's there? Nobody. Why is nobody there? Because he's so used to doing this time and time and time again, and he's already programmed into his mind that he needs this and he needs that, and this needs to be resolved this way and that needs to be resolved that way, that he doesn't see the big picture. He sees the trees, he doesn't see the forest. He doesn't realize the wonder that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, which makes us be, because he's stuck right in the middle of it. He's in it. He's in it so deeply that he's forgotten himself, that he's fallen asleep inside. So the word nirdam is ner, right? The nefesh and the ruach, and the dam. It's hidden in the blood. It's just asleep. The nefesh and the ruach are running around in the blood, and there's no I, there's no self, there's no anoichi that's asking, what in the hell is happening here? What do they want from me? Why? And that's our avodah. That's our ikar avodah. Is to wake up. Something is going on. This is real. It's happening. It's weird. It's funky. It doesn't make sense. Think about it. Ponder it. Ask yourself. Go to the deepest place in your being and ask the big questions. Because if you're not going to ask them now, the day you're going to ask them is going to be too late. You want to ask them when you're fresh, when you're healthy, when you're capable, where you can go to a bookshelf and read a book, where you go to Google and look something up. That's when you want to ask these questions, not when you're laying on your deathbed and you're about to close your eyes forever. It's not a good time to ask those questions. Because you know what? At that point, all the scary beliefs they gave you between the age of 3 and 5 are going to come and visit you again, if you haven't cleaned all that out by then. So you want to have a much better idea of who you are by the time that time comes around. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Tamaru kitoiv. Don't be so afraid to look for me. I'm not as evil as you think. I'm actually a very, very nice dude if you'll get to know me. And that's an avodah. That's an avodah. But you're going to enjoy this work. You're going to get more sipuk from this work than you're going to get from any other work that you can possibly do. You know why? Because you're building you. You're building you. Not the bank account, which you can't really gain access to after 120. And even in this world, it can't really resolve your moods. If you know anybody who has a lot of money, you'll realize that very quickly. They might be more moody than the rest of us, if anything. And the other things that we accumulate in life, they're not going to solve our problems the way that getting to know who is that being that lives inside of me. That has much more power and that has much more koyach to resolve all your issues. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset with Klal Yisrael that says, Oisi ozvi mekor mayim chaim, lachtzav be'em boires nishborim. They left me, the source of mayim chaim, the source of the water of life itself, which is the truth, trying to figure out what's real, trying to figure out what's true, and they're digging boires nishborim, they're digging broken boires, asher lo yechile amayim, they can't even hold water. Because everything society created can't hold water. Only what nature created, only what Hashem created can hold water. If it's a career, if it's a pursuit, if it's a fashion, if it's all the other nonsense that people are busy with. Lo yechile amoim. Lo yechile amoim. It's like building Pisam and Ramses. As soon as you're done building, it sinks into the ground and you can start building again. You got nothing to show for it. The only place where you can actually save up, the only place that you can dig and whatever you find is yours and you can take it with you is knowing the truth, knowing reality, knowing who you are and how you function and what it means to be a member of humanity and how can you contribute the most. That's something real. That's something you can take with you. In this world, bisalecho tancho oisach, right? When you're going, it will lead you. B'shach b'cho tishmer elecho. When you're laying down, it will watch on you. V'kitzoysev yitzrichecho. When you wake up, you can talk about it again. That's what truth is. That's what David HaMelech was talking about when he said, Toiv li Torah spicho ma'alfei zoh v'chesef. He didn't mean, oh, I heard such a nice pilpul, it made me feel so smart, now I feel already, it's better than money. That's not what he was talking about. He says, V'adavra negem elochim v'layevosh, I would talk about your Torah against kings. Kings are running their countries, they're busy with the most important things, but I got something more important than them to talk about. I want to talk about what's real. What's happening here? Who are we? What does it mean to be? How can I be more? How can it be more deeply, right? Reb Tzodok says, just like in Olam, there are certain places that are more choshev than other places. Like we know Eretz Yisrael is more choshev than the rest of the globe. And we know that there are certain days that are more important than other days, like Yom Kippur is more important than the rest of the days. The same thing is in Nefesh. That some people are more important than other people. Why are they more important? Because they're more real. They exist. Rishon b'chayim kriyam meisim. Why? Because they're fake. They don't exist. Why don't they exist? Because when the mind, the imagination is filled with nonsense, so the place where he is not real. The place where he resides doesn't have existence. Where do we reside? We reside in our minds. Wherever your thought is, that's where you are. That's your full reality. And if that place doesn't exist, then you don't exist. So we have time, we have days in this world that we can put away. Each day, the Zohar says, you can mark it with a special midah. You can mark your days with midas chesed, midas rachamim. And then what happens? Those days will become a melitz yosher for you. They become part of you, become part of your spirit, they become part of your personality. And now they're going to work on your behalf. They're going to make sure that you have a pleasant experience in this world and in the world to come. Why? Because you created them that way. You created them with the midas chesed. And the same goes in any other direction. So we have that power to create, we have the ability, we have the choice. וזה עניין שבמוירה הקדמוהם בקיבוד האב ואין כמוכם להערך לכוון זה בדרוש חז"ל בקדישין וכאשר על ידי הרגושת הלב באמס אז המעשה פורחה לאלה ונטויסב להסוגה וריבי אור. So it says if the heart is awake, as soon as there is real emotion, there is real feeling, then there will be a pa'ula ruchnis. Then the ruchnis of the person is involved in the deed. And when the ruchnis of the person is involved, then there's a pa'ula that changes the leiv, that actually has an impact, that creates a malach that's actually going to change your reality. V'zeh she'omri schar mitzvah mitzvah. It said the schar of a mitzvah is another mitzvah. Why? Because this malach that you created is now going to drive you to do mitzvahs. Because he likes you. He wants you to get it right. So he's on your side. So schar mitzvah, you did one mitzvah. Now the ruchnius of that mitzvah is going to push you and drive you to do other mitzvahs. V'zeh loshen chazal, zako is chis is loshen zach. The loshen of schus, what does it mean that a person is riboy zochios or a person is riboy choivis? The person that has zochios means that he's zach, he's pure. How do we purify ourselves? By becoming more wise and becoming more chesed. The more chesed, the more wisdom, right? It says, roitze lahachkim yadrim. Somebody wants to become wise, he should go to the side of Dorim, to the right side. What does that mean? More chesed. Why? Because those malachim that you're creating, those spirits that you're creating inside of you, the midas chesed, when you ask them for wisdom, they'll give it to you. If you're going to create spirits of the midas gvura, when you ask them for wisdom, they're going to say, why do you deserve it? So therefore, when you build your nefesh, you want to build the midas chesed in it, so that your nefesh gives you chesed. So when you want something, your nefesh gives it to you. Why? Because your whole nefesh is a shtik chesed. That's how it interacts with others. That's how it interacts with itself. Questions? All set? Must have explained myself well today.